Welcome to Kelly's Creative Dream Studios. Today we are talking Mixed Media Monday, and yes, we are doing Mixed Media Monday actually on Monday this week. So this is for Dear Julie Julie's March Spring Stash Buster Junk Journal Challenge, and I'm doing a sewing themed journal. Now this is one of 3 I have in my head, and I'm combining the Dear Julie Julie challenge with a journal idea that I got from Natasha at TreasureBooks, and I will link her video down below. I'm starting with papers that were from Stampin' Up! Called Sweet Stitches, and as you can see, I don't have a full set of that collection, so I have gone through my other myriad of paper pads and found papers that will work with this, and I may or may not use a lot of them, but they're here for me to play with. Most of them are craft crate papers. Let's see, I had gone through several of these vintage ones I'm not using. Let's pull those out of the way. Gone. I'm using more of, I went through and found patterns and colors that coordinate with the sewing machine colors in Sweet Stitches. So that's the paper pad I'm playing with. Then we are to use book, calendar, and or magazine. So I have a quilter's catalog from House of White Birch. I've got a fabric sampler catalog from Hancock's Fabrics, and then I've got this magazine, Quilting Life, that has Ricky Timms and Alex Anderson on the cover, and I love seeing them work on quilts, so I've got those 2 in here. Then now I can get to the other stuff in the basket. We are to use our oldest tool. Well, my oldest tool in my studio was my old red platform Sizzix die cutting machine that I just got rid of last month. But it's set up here in my office from the time we moved everything in, even though I had traded off and was using a Vagabond, and I'm on Vagabond number 2. So my Vagabond is replacing my oldest tool, which would have been my Sizzix die cutting system. My newest tool are some of the new dies that I got that will go perfect in this journal. I found a paper that has similar pattern to this die, so I think this is going to be cool. But one of my biggest things that I'm going to be using are spools and scissors on this one. So that's my newest tool. Stamping, I have this set from TPC Studios, and this sewing machine, and a sewing machine for another one I have in here matches the sewing machines on the patterned paper. So I've got those. Also have more spools, scissors, pin cushions, anything and everything having to do with sewing in this set. So I'll be using that. Okay, stencils. I have a measuring tape stencil from Tim Holtz that I think this is going to make a nice border on my pages. Embossing folders, I have one from Stampin' Up! That is all buttons and stitches backgrounds. Lace that has been the longest time in my stash. This is from when I used to make fans for wall decor out of plastic forks. And you wove the lace in between the tines of the fork and made some really pretty fan decor. So I've got this one, and I think the colors will work. I'm not crazy so much about the peach, but I like the green, so we'll see if maybe that peach will look more pink as it starts being attached to some of the other things. And I'm probably not going to use a lot of it based on what I'm doing with Natasha's style of books. Buttons, longest time in my stash, that would be buttons from my mom in her button box. So I will pick buttons from out of there to use. There's purples, and there's multicolored, and there's some cross-stitched ones. Lots of buttons in there to play with. So that's my button box. Washi tape. I I have two that I want to use, but they're not. They're supposed to be the oldest in my stash, and these really aren't, but I have had them for a while, probably at least 5 or 6 years. So we're still debating on whether this is a viable one or not. Stickers, my oldest stickers, well, I have some that I found in my sticker book. And that would be these sheets from SEI. And they've got rickrack and buttons and hearts and straight pins. These will be perfect for this. Fabric. I went digging in my fabric stash and I found this. And in Natasha's video, you'll see where she runs a strip of braiding down the center of each of her signatures. I'm going to rip this fabric apart and I'm going to do fabric inlays on those. So that's what I'll be using that for. And the book, calendar, and or magazine. I did that one with the magazines, but I'm also using a Reader's Digest book that I have pulled the front and back covers off of, as well as the inside, front and back of the fly leaves, and I'll need to trim everything up. But you don't put a spine on this particular style of journal. So I'll trim these down even, and then when I put my accordion signatures in, then I will re-relay the overlay here. So I've still got this, but it will cover the signatures. So that's my plan for that. Okay, extras. Playing cards. I have these Bonnie K. Hunter playing cards. They're quilt patterned on the back. So I'll be using some of those. Project Life cards. Haven't done through my Project Life cards to see what I've got over there that will work. May or may not need to use those. Postage stamps. I am going with these worldwide postage stamps from Hobby Lobby. And you can buy these in different collections. So I will be using those. And sewing pattern. And because I wanted as much of the tissue and sewing pattern to show, I'm using pattern paper from Little Girls Dresses because a lot of the pieces are smaller and so they'll fit. Again, not positive. I think a lot of them are going to be just overlays on the backs of the playing cards to be used on the flips. And then I've got these that I'm probably not going to use in this one. These are probably going to go as pages in the vintage book that I'm going to do later on my own, not part of a challenge. Because then I could use these as pages and signatures. This particular style of journal that I'm doing does not have signatures per se. So things will get constructed a little bit differently. Then we have a set number of tools. We can use 2 pairs of scissors. And because I'm going to be doing some fussy cutting, I have my fabric scissors, fabric and ribbon, and then I have these with a shorter blade for being able to do fussy cutting as well as longer stuff. I'm going to use my Stampin' Up! Paper cutter, my sewing machine. We can use an iron. I have my one ruler. One writing pen is my Recollections fine tip. 2 punches, and as of right now, I only have one that I'm going to use. I may change into a banner punch later, but I wanted to have my corner rounder. This might also work that I could do decorative corners on some of the cards. My stapler, and I've added little pink staples to that. I'm not going to be using paint or paintbrushes on those, though we could. And then I've got my collection of neutral tones, stamp pads, and sponging. And any glue, and my favorite glues to use will be this one. And my fabric glue that I don't have handy at the moment. I think those are going to be my 2 favorite ones that I will use. So, that sets me up for my tools. Now, she says you may use your choice of one other element from your stash, either paper clips or eyelets or bulb pins or buttons or safety pins or binder rings or wire or a cinch or binding wire. And you may use up to a combination of 6 of these items, and you may also use your binding kit in your journal elsewhere. Since I'm not binding anything, the binding kit, we'll see what we're going to do, And I haven't decided what I'm going to use on the other embellishments. Though I am thinking I have these charms. A little sewing machine and scissors button. And then I've got these charms. These may work better in the vintage one later. But then I've got these that I can use that are the silver, and I think they'll work really good for this one. So those will probably be my part of my other elements. Possibly a couple of eyelets so that I can attach the charms easier to the pages. And that about does it. That is what I'm going to be playing with for Dear Julie's March Spring Stash Buster Junk Journal Challenge. I will leave the link for her introductory video to the challenge down below. There's plenty of time to come and play, you know, because obviously this is the 15th and I've not put mine together yet, just my kits. So if I can get mine done by the end of the month, some of you girls with a lot less going on in your life than I do should be able to do it without any problem. I hope you'll come join us. We look forward to seeing what you are playing with. And if you'd leave a comment down below, tell me whether or not you've ever done a junk journal, and if you have, link me to your video so I can see what you've worked on. And if you haven't, tell me why you haven't played with junk journals yet. Is there something that's keeping you from trying it? If so, maybe the rest of us can help you get started on this journey. Thanks for joining me in the studio today. Remember to like this video and subscribe. And if you click that little bell, you'll be notified of when all my other videos go live, so you won't miss anything going on in Kelly's Creative Dream Studios. Thanks for joining me today. Creative blessings.